Okay, so hello everyone. In today's video, I want to be talking about why we need to be eating 5 meals a day, which is like 5 of these meals inside they need to have protein in a day for you to maximize muscle growth. Okay, so like before this, we all know that we need to be hitting our daily protein intake in order for us to build muscle. Okay, so hitting our daily protein intake, like for example, if you weigh like 160 pounds, you are like around like 72 kg. Okay, so which is 160 pounds. You need to be eating somewhere from like 80 to 160 grams of protein in order for you to build muscle. Okay? But the thing is, do we actually eat all of the 160 grams of protein in one meal, or do we need to spread them out? Or maybe even spread them out evenly. Okay? So today we are going to be answering all these questions on is it better to actually spread your protein evenly, or maybe to even like you can just follow like a 1 meal a day diet, kind of like fasting diet. So you just eat 1 meal and then you fast for 16 hours, and then so is that actually optimal? Alright, so to answer the question, it's actually not that optimal for you to how to say, like spread your protein intake into like into like 1 meal, or maybe just 2 meals a day, or even just 3 meals. Actually, it's not very optimal because you cannot be eating no protein for a prolonged period of time, because that, like, if there's no protein present in your GI tract, your body will actually break down amino acids from other muscles in order for you to build muscle. Okay, so basically, because your body don't really have like a pool of everyone don't have a pool of amino acid in our body. We only have a pool of carbohydrate and also fat. So our body will break down the protein in order for you to actually repair the other muscle group. Okay, so let's hear what the experts have to say. Like for example, like Dr. Mike Israetel, PhD in exercise physiology, and then Dr. Lane Norton, as well as Greg Doucette have to say about this. Okay, so let's jump right into the video. Okay, so first off, let's hear what Dr. Lane Norton have to say. Okay, so he has a PhD in nutritional science.
What might matter is protein distribution. If we look at protein intakes, there's been a few studies where they've fed people protein like right after a workout or several hours after a workout. And they didn't really see differences in muscle mass gains over a period of time. It is possible, since muscle accrual is a very slow process, that the study just wasn't long enough, or these studies just weren't long enough. But we really haven't seen anything to show that. Now, what we have seen is there are some studies showing that you can't make up for low protein at one time of the day with high protein at another time of the day, because you have a minimum threshold to stimulate muscle protein synthesis, but also a cap. So for example, for various protein sources, again, it's very complicated, but around 30 to 50 grams at a meal is probably the maximum cap, depending on your lean body mass and the source of protein you choose. If you ate no protein for 10 hours of the day and then wanted to have 100 grams at a couple meals to try to get to your protein recommendations, that's likely not going to be optimal, because there's quite a bit of that protein that's not going to be able to further stimulate muscle protein synthesis. There's been a few studies, including the study I did as a graduate student for my PhD, where we looked at, okay, if we feed low protein at most of the day, then really high protein at night versus protein evenly distributed throughout the day, do we see differences in muscle mass? And we actually did see that in our research. And there was a recent study out of a Japanese group where they saw differences in lean body mass accrual in people who ate a very low protein breakfast versus people who kind of ate a very high protein breakfast, and also with protein equated between the groups throughout the day. It looks like protein distribution does matter for muscle. Now, what do I recommend? Well, I recommend 3 to 5 high quality protein containing meals per day. And if you're having 3 to 5 high quality protein containing meals per day, the likelihood is that you're going to have one of those meals within a few hours of your training session, and then another one of those meals within a few hours after your training session. Those amino acids that you have, even if you had it 3 hours before you trained, they're still going to be available in your bloodstream while you're training. Same token, after you train, it's not like just catabolism takes over. In fact, resistance training is anabolic. It's not catabolic like endurance exercise is. Is it probably a good idea to get a protein feeding in within a relatively soon amount of time after your workout? Sure, but mostly as it pertains to just getting in enough total protein throughout the day, distributed throughout the day.
Okay, so just now, first off, you actually listened to what Layne Norton said, that we need a certain amount of leucine in our bloodstream in order to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So leucine is a type of amino acid, and it's usually present in like higher quality protein sources. Basically, those are like meat sources. Okay, so if you are vegan and if you are eating vegetarian options, the amount of leucine inside is actually very less. So basically, you need a certain amount of leucine, and you need like more than 10 grams. So basically, studies have shown that if you have like 10 grams of protein, it's not enough to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. You need maybe around like 20 grams, okay, in order for the body to actually pick up the signal like, oh, okay, we can start to build muscle right now. Okay, so the second point it comes here is, okay, so if you're actually taking in like 100 grams of protein in one sitting, your body is not actually going to utilize all of the protein for it to build muscle. It can absorb all of the protein and turn it into calories, okay, and turn it into energy. I mean, like all the excess protein you actually taking in one sitting, it will actually store it as energy. Okay, your body wouldn't utilize all of it in order for it to build muscle. So that is why it is actually way better to spread your protein evenly throughout the day. Okay, so does that make sense? So let's hear what Dr. Mike Israetel have to say.
Point number 1. Fractional breakdown rate is what makes us lose muscle, and we know that's a normal part of the turnover process, but if it's needlessly elevated, that's not good, because remember, the balance of fractional synthesis has to be higher, or as much higher as possible, than fractional breakdown. So anytime that FBR, fractional breakdown rate, is elevated, we're not such big fans of this. So we're definitely going to try not to go a really long time without eating anything, because that's how you lose muscle. There's enough about that. Next time, here's the deal. Fractional synthetic rate is actually internally measured rate of muscle growth in the actual muscle itself. And it actually can rise by itself with no food present, because then amino acids are shuttled from other places, usually other skeletal muscles that don't have such high FSR curves. So basically, the muscles you're not currently experiencing a lot of turnover in, maybe let's say you trained legs days ago and you trained arms yesterday, the muscles in your legs will actually be broken down, amino sent into the bloodstream to supply the higher FSR curves for muscle. Well, that's when FSR is elevated but not being supplied by aminos from the gastrointestinal tract. In other words, when you're not eating and there's not amino acids coming from the GI tract relatively regularly, your body is still going to grow muscle, so to speak, but it's going to grow some muscles at the expense of others. It's a zero-sum game. It's actually negative-sum game, right? Because it's not a perfectly efficient process. So, in other words, what we're talking about here is anytime FSR is elevated, or there's the potential to grow muscle, we're going to want to supply that process with amino acids from the gastrointestinal tract. Otherwise, we're just not going to get very far. So that's 2 points so far in favor of the idea that we need to sort of consider timing, at least to some extent. Right? So just eat food is not good enough advice.
Okay, so that was from Mike Israetel. So let's jump into a simpler explanation by Greg Doucette, which is my favorite.
When you fast to this extent, you don't eat, for example, for 16 hours, there's potential for muscle loss to occur. Your muscles don't have the amino acids, the building blocks to build muscle, and so they can actually take them, use them from, for example, your biceps, like Mike Israetel, and use it to repair your heart. And so if you want biceps that look like Mike Israetel, rather than having great-looking arms, then obviously you can skip meal 1. You don't need to eat breakfast, but if you're looking to maximize muscle hypertrophy, you don't want to skip out on having protein when you wake up.
When it comes to the final point, which is the most important point, is your body actually has this thing called fractional breakdown and fractional synthesis rate. Okay, so basically it's because we are actually constantly losing and building muscle tissue throughout the day. So if your body senses that there's actually no protein in from the GI tract, they will actually take amino acids from other muscles for it to build muscle. Okay, like what in the video said by Dr. Mike Israetel and actually Greg Doucette. Okay, so after hearing that, let me know what you guys think about this. Okay, like just comment down below. You know, what are your thoughts and stuff. Okay, and then okay, so in conclusion, it's actually better for you to spread your protein throughout the day. Okay, because I've been hearing about this, like, oh, you just have to hit your daily protein intake, which is actually no. All right, you have to like spread your meals evenly throughout the day, your protein. It's actually way better for you to do that, and that is why I don't recommend fasting to anyone, even though you're trying to lose weight. Okay, because yes, fasting, it actually does help you to lose weight, because you just have to create a calorie deficit. So you can actually create that deficit through like not eating for a certain period of time, and that actually is actually good for weight loss. But the thing is, it's not for you. It's not good for you in order for you to preserve muscle. Alright, so that is all for the video today, and thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Bye.